What a difference about 10 days or so can make for the Orioles. Going from getting blown off the field by the Yankees to winning a series against them.
You are Locked On Orioles, your daily Baltimore Orioles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Orioles fans. Today is Thursday, May 14th, 2026, and welcome back into the Locked On Orioles podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, I'm your host, Connor Newcomb. And coming up on today's episode, we're going to recap the Orioles' pretty convincing 7-0 win over the Yankees on Wednesday to take the series, winning 2 out of 3 against the Bronx Bombers. I'll get you the 5 things you need to know from that one, including another dominant Kyle Bradish start, and the O's getting contributions from pretty much most of their lineup. Then we'll chat about some more injury news for the Orioles. Dylan Beavers is now headed to the injured list, what that means for the O's outfield. But Taylor Ward apparently hasn't been healthy until now, so how that could help to fill in the gaps. But we begin this Thursday episode with an Orioles win. Final score from the Charm City on Wednesday afternoon is the Orioles 7 and the New York Yankees nothing in the rubber match, which was moved up from 6:30 to 1 o'clock to avoid the impending rain, which did somewhat come through here on Wednesday evening in Baltimore. It was a smart move to get the game in, and it also apparently may have helped the Orioles win this one by a score of 7-0. The Orioles take the series, winning 2 of 3. They're now 20-24 on the year through 44 games this season. And I'm going to get you the 5 things you need to know from this Orioles victory over the Yankees. And the first thing you need to know is, well, Kyle Bradish was brilliant once again. It was his first scoreless start of the season, and it comes against the Yankees, the best offense in the American League. Final line for Bradish, 6 scoreless on just 1 hit, 7 strikeouts to 3 walks, and 100 pitches thrown, only 4 hard hit balls against Kyle by this Yankees offense as he lowers his ERA to a much more respectable 4.21 on the season. And that was coming off that great start he had Friday night against the A's. Gave up those 3 weird runs in the 5th inning, but he went 7 and struck out 10 in that one. That was his best start of the year until this one against New York. Kyle Bradish becomes just the 6th Oriole starting pitcher in franchise history to go at least 6 innings scoreless, allowing 1 hit or fewer against the New York Yankees. You've got some Hoyt Wilhelm and some Jim Palmer and some Adam Lowen on there in that list as well. But a big start from Bradish. And once again for Kyle, the weapon was his curveball. He got 8 whiffs on 16 swings by Yankee hitters against that pitch. And it was his number 1 most used pitch. He threw it 31% of the time on Wednesday, more than any other offering. And the more interesting part was that the slider, once again, was his least used pitch. Only 14% slider usage, which has been for his entire career his best offering. The slider usage for Bradish has really tanked over his past 3 outings. And the last 2 have been good when he's done that. The one before it was when he wouldn't use the slider and he gave up 5 runs in 4 innings against the Yankees. And I was trying to figure out what was going on. But I mean, maybe this was the plan last time and he just didn't have command. He walked 4 batters. He got in trouble early in the game. And his command was just better with the same plan to go heavy curveball. And it worked out. And that's just baseball sometimes. But the slider usage, I mean, 13%, 19%, 14% is his usage in the last 3 starts of his best pitch. Before these last 3 starts, Bradish was throwing his slider about 35% of the time. It was his number 1 most used pitch. And now it's gone down to number 4. And I think it's because he's just struggling to command that slider right now. He's not getting the same movement profile. It's not dropping as much as it used to. It's kind of more of a straight across pitch. And he kind of has perfect command of the curveball right now. It's got more drop. It's got more run. It's just moving more than ever. The whiff rate on his curveball is approaching 50% on the season coming into this start. It was the 4th highest whiff rate on any curveball from a starting pitcher in the majors this year. And, you know, you add that to the fact that over the past few starts with both his fastballs, the sinker and the 4-seamer, he's got a better feel for the zone, for the command, for dotting those pitches on the corner. Even if he doesn't have his slider, he seems to have his other 3 pitches, and that has allowed him to finally miss bats, get better command, and be the Kyle Bradish we know and love over the past 2 starts. Now, this needs to continue. This can't just be a two-start peak and then him start to valley again over the next couple of outings. But this is going to change the outlook of the Orioles rotation if Bradish pitches like he does or like he did the last two times out. Second thing you need to know from the Wednesday win is that Blaze Alexander had his best game as an Oriole. He had a bunt single to lead off the third and start a rally against Max Fried. He had a leadoff single in the fifth that also started a little Orioles rally, and then delivered kind of the knockout blow with the bases loaded in the sixth. A two-run single put the Orioles up 7-0 at that point. Final hitting line for Alexander in this one. He goes 3 for 4 with a strikeout, but 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored in the game. His second 3-hit game as an Oriole, kind of quietly had one back on May 4th in the Orioles' 12-1 loss to the Yankees. He went 3 for 4, but this is the 5th career 3-hit game for Blaze Alexander. And Blaze pretty quietly has been kind of awesome in the month of May. Like, he still hasn't been playing every single day, but he's 11 for 28. That's a 392 average. He's got a triple. He's got 4 ribbies. Now, he's got 10 strikeouts to 1 walk, so he's still not going great in that capacity. But he's hitting the baseball, has been hitting the ball all hard all season. That's continued in this stretch. He's playing great defense, whether he's at second base or third base, or even when he's been out there in the outfield. I thought he's held his own. I think they just need to play him more, whether it is third, whether it is second, whether it's creeping out into the outfield. I know Kobe Mayo had 2 more hits on Wednesday, including an RBI double that opened the scoring. I know Weston Wilson had another hit getting the start, and they've been more helpful this week. But Blaze is red hot right now. He plays by far the best defense out of these 3. And while you're still without Jackson Holliday and Jordan Westberg, and with Jeremiah Jackson really, really slumping now after a hot start to the season, I just think you have to have Blaze Alexander somewhere in this lineup, preferably in the infield, in every game, at least until you get Jackson Holliday back. Then you can have a different conversation, but right now, he just needs to be in there. Third thing you need to know from Wednesday is that Adley Rutschman hit his 6th home run of the year. And honestly, he didn't even believe it was a homer off the bat. He thought he had kind of hit a lazy fly ball and just missed it, but this ball had just enough carry out to right center field to tip off the glove of Spencer Jones and go over the wall for a 2-run shot in the 5th to put the Orioles up 5-0 at the time. And Adley hit it hard enough. It was 100 miles per hour exit velocity off the bat, hitting the ball harder this year than he ever has before. And, he's hitting more line drives like you want to see from him. But when he does get those balls in the air to the pull side, because he's making better, harder contact, that ball that may have been a fly out to the warning track the last 2 years for Adley now turns into a home run. And that's another big difference for him. He's got 6 homers in 114 plate appearances this year. He had 9 homers in 365 plate appearances all of last year. Clearly the power has ticked up. It's an 892 OPS. He also had a sac fly to drive another run in the game on Wednesday. At this point, like, Adley's making the All-Star team. If that's decided tomorrow, Shea Langoliers is probably the starter at catcher in the American League. He's been incredible. And Ryan Jeffers has had a really good season in Minnesota too. But with everything Adley is doing, his framing has been like the best in baseball so far. This is a good profile. This is the Adley profile. And this is fun to watch him have this bounce back. Fourth thing you need to know from the O's win over the Yankees, that the Orioles overall, I just thought, took some really good ABs against a left-handed pitcher. Of course, the Orioles entered this series 0-9 on the season against left-handed starting pitchers, but they won on Monday. Now, it wasn't because of what they did to a left-handed starter. Ryan Weathers had 6 no-hit innings against the Orioles on Monday before they got something together, but they won that game. And then this one on Wednesday against one of the best lefties in baseball, Max Fried, this one was different. Like, Taylor Ward had a leadoff single in this game, and the O's kind of went from there. They got the run in the second on the Mayo RBI double. They got a couple of runs in the third inning. Pete Alonso had some big hits in that stretch. Adley had the sac fly. They forced Fried to throw 61 pitches just to get through 3 innings in this game. And that's kind of what they did to Fried when they faced him at Yankee Stadium last weekend. Like, he got out of the game allowing only 3 runs, but the Orioles got him for 6 hits and 3 walks and got him out in the 6th. He lasted just 5 1/3 innings, one of his shortest starts of the year the last time. And then this ended up being his shortest start. Now, the O's got a little help, right? Fried, it was only at 61 pitches in 3 innings. He wasn't pitching well, but he left with what the Yankees called elbow posterior soreness. And I think he's going to go back to New York and get an MRI here on Thursday. Obviously, for Fried, you hope that everything goes okay, but it wouldn't be terrible for the Orioles if Max Fried was missing a little bit of time. He's a fun pitcher to watch, though. I want him to be out there. But the O's did well. They only struck out twice. They only had 4 swings and misses against Fried. They fouled off a lot of tough pitches, waited for better pitches to hit, and then capitalized. And when you get a line like that on Fried, you get 3 runs on 5 hits against him in 3 innings. You are doing something right because he's one of the best starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. And then, they get a break because he comes out of the game in the 4th. You're already leading 3-0. And the Yankees kind of go to their low leverage, long relievers in Paul Blackburn and Ryan Yarbrough that they have in their bullpen. And the O's capitalize on those guys too. They get 2 runs off Blackburn on the Adley homer. They get 2 runs off Yarbrough in that big rally they had in the 6th. Every Oriole except for Gunnar Henderson reached base in this game, which kind of says a lot right now with how bad Gunnar has been with another 0 for 4. But Taylor Ward with a single and a walk. Adley had the homer. Pete Alonso had 2 hits and an RBI. Tyler O'Neill walked twice. Leody Taveras, well, I guess he didn't kind of reach base on his own, but he did have a couple of plays where he beat out double plays, and that helped the Orioles continue a rally. Kobe Mayo, I mentioned, had 2 hits. Weston Wilson had a hit. Blaze Alexander had the 3 hits. They got contributions up and down this lineup. It's something they haven't done as much of this year, at least consistently. And this, isn't consistency. It was 3 runs on Monday and 2 runs on Tuesday. And then they kind of break out for the 7 here on Wednesday. But against Max Fried, that's what you want to do. You didn't get off 7 runs against him. You got him against the low leverage guys as well, but they didn't let up. And you like to see that too. And the 5th and final thing you need to know from the Orioles' 7-0 win over the Yankees to clinch a series win on Wednesday afternoon is that the bullpen closed out what ended up being an incredible day for Orioles pitching. After they got 6 scoreless from Bradish, Keegan Aiken threw a scoreless 7th, Dietrich Enns a scoreless 8th, and Yennier Cano a scoreless 9th to close out the victory. None of them allowing a hit, giving the Orioles their first shutout victory of the season. The Orioles were the final team to get their first shutout victory of the year. The Orioles also have yet to be shut out on the offensive side. The Orioles and the Twins are the only teams so far this year that have yet to be shut out. And for the O's, it was just a great day all around, doing some things on the mound they really haven't done in a while. For the Orioles, it was their first time that, they had Aaron Judge went 0 for 4 with a strikeout in this game. First time the Orioles had kept Aaron Judge off base in a game when he had at least 4 plate appearances against the O's since 2024, and just the second time they had done it since 2022. This was the 43rd game in Orioles history in which, as a team, they pitched a shutout, allowing 1 or 0 hits. And it was their first time doing that against the Yankees since August 5th of 2006. It's been almost 20 years since the Orioles had a 1 or 0 hit shutout against the Yankees. Adam Lowen, Todd Williams, and LaTroy Hawkins combined to do that for the O's against the Yanks back in August of 2006. And the last time the Orioles did this overall was last year, the Brandon Young almost perfect game in Houston. The last time they did it at home, July 21st, 2019, against the Boston Red Sox. Asher Wojciechowski had the best start of his career, followed up by Paul Fry and Michael Gibbons closing out a victory. This is not something the Orioles do often, pitching-wise, especially not against the Yankees. And the starting pitching has been such a huge problem for this Orioles team this year. That was really, really good to see. And then, you do have to give some big kudos to this Orioles bullpen, which went out there and gave them 3 scoreless innings on Wednesday, gave them 5 scoreless innings despite the loss on Tuesday, and also gave them 3 2/3 scoreless to hold on to the win on Monday. That's 11 2/3 scoreless innings from the Orioles pen. That is a heck of a job that they did. And you even go back to Sunday, technically the 1 run they allowed to the A's on Sunday was, allowed to the bullpen, but that was because Chris Bassett worked as a follower. The actual relievers that pitched Sunday didn't allow a run. Even on Saturday, Shane Baz was not good, but the bullpen was good after him. Back on Friday, the bullpen gave up 1 run. It was Trey Gibson. This pen continues, even when they're getting overworked, even with the closer Ryan Helsley on the injured list, they continue to be the bright spot of this team. And if the starting pitching, which is starting to come back around over the past week or so, can just stabilize themselves like Bradish did on Wednesday, they're going to have the pitching to win some games here. And that is what we saw, getting a huge series win. I mean, after you get embarrassed in the 4-game mopping by the same team at Yankee Stadium, one of the worst series in Orioles history last weekend, to come back, get this team on your home turf, and take 2 of 3. That is really, really important for the Orioles doing that to show that they are still in this race, and it is still only May, and there's a lot of time for them to still potentially be a playoff team here in 2026. But if they're going to continue to play better, they're going to have to do it without Dylan Beavers, another Oriole placed on the injured list on Wednesday. We'll talk about the fallout from that right after this. But first, this episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast is brought to you by Rocket Money. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. Well, that's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It tracks your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps. That's the best thing for me. I realize I have a subscription that I don't want anymore. It's so hard to cancel it. Rocket Money, though, is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions. It also monitors your spending and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. So the Orioles get the big win and the series win over the Yankees on Wednesday, but as has happened on a lot of days this season, some unfortunate injury news for the O's before the game. Dylan Beavers has been placed on the 10-day injured list by the Orioles with a right oblique strain. Maverick Handley was recalled to take Beavers' place in the lineup. Beavers, who was initially scratched from Tuesday's lineup, he was supposed to start in center field on Tuesday night, but was scratched from the lineup about an hour before the game after feeling something in his oblique when he was hitting in the cage before the game. We figured, okay, this might be an IL stint. Talked about it yesterday's episode. It turns out it does need Beavers to head to the injured list. Now, Maverick Handley is the replacement for now. More than likely, it's because the O's had a day game after a night game on Wednesday. Handley was already with the team as the emergency taxi squad catcher. He was kind of the only other position player they could activate to make sure they had a full squad of 13 players if they needed them on the hitting side on Wednesday. So they activated Handley. More than likely after the off day Thursday and then playing Friday at Nats Park, the O's will probably swap out Handley for another more useful hitter as long as, Basayo's knee is okay, which seems to be the case since he did play on Tuesday night. So he'll probably be around for only one game. And so the question is, okay, if they're going to replace Handley, who is going to be the legit replacement for Dylan Beavers while he's out? I would say there are probably 4 main options who could be called up Friday instead of Handley to take Beavers' spot. The 2 that are on the 40-man and are definitely healthy right now are Jonathan Rodriguez and Christian Encarnacion-Strand. Both are hitting really well in AAA. Both are on the 40-man roster, so you wouldn't need to make another move. Rodriguez, we saw for a little bit earlier in the season with the Orioles, was playing against some lefties. He's a big righty hitting corner outfielder, first baseman who hits lefties well. And then Christian Encarnacion-Strand, they got in a small trade with the Reds earlier this year. Former good prospect who had a great rookie year in Cincinnati, then kind of fell off and was DFA'd by the Reds. He's come to Baltimore, and there's still some issues in his swing and his approach, but he's really been hitting the ball down in AAA Norfolk. I highlighted him, I think, last week maybe for what he was doing with the Tides. The issue with those two guys is neither of them have much of a position. Like, yes, Rodriguez played some right field for the Orioles this year, and yes, Encarnacion-Strand can play first base, but Encarnacion-Strand came up as a third baseman. He really can't play over there anymore. Rodriguez is pretty bad defensively in the outfield. Both of them are more like first base DH types. So while Dylan Beavers is a shaky outfielder, but can definitely play corner outfields, and the O's even think he can play center field, you're definitely getting a defensive downgrade if you go to one of those guys. Now, there is also 2 other outfielders in Heston Kjerstad and Reed Trimble who are coming off of injury. Both are in AAA Norfolk right now. Kjerstad is still technically on his rehab assignment in Norfolk, coming back from the leg injury, and Reed Trimble has actually officially been activated. He started a rehab stint in the lower minors back on May 2nd. I think earlier this week, they officially said, he's off rehab. He's just back in AAA where he began. Kjerstad, we know him better. He's been in the big leagues. The bat can be there, but it's so up and down. Injury questions. Also can't play the outfield. Trimble's a good defender who can play all 3 outfield positions well. He's a switch hitter. He's had so many injury concerns. The bat finally came on last year, but we've never seen him in the big leagues. And then I guess technically you could put Jackson Holliday in this mix as well. He has also continued his rehab assignment in AAA Norfolk this week. I don't think the O's are ready to call up Holiday or Kjerstad, frankly, and end their rehab assignments. I think they want to make sure those guys are going to be good to go when they make that call. So because of that, my guess would be it's one of Encarnacion-Strand and Rodriguez. And I think my guess would be that Jonathan Rodriguez gets the call. He's already been with the O's earlier this year. He can play right field if you need him to, which is Beavers' position. You've had him up here before. He can hit some lefties. Second, I would go Trimble just to get the defensive versatility in the outfield. And then third is Encarnacion-Strand because he has the most big league experience, and then get more rehab time for Kjerstad and Holiday. Now, the thing with Dylan Beavers is, he was playing a good amount before the injury. Now with him out, I would say, you get Taylor Ward in left field every day. It's probably even more certain you're getting Leody Taveras in center field every day. And then maybe some sort of, instead of like the Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Beavers platoon we were seeing in right field, maybe it's more of a Tyler O'Neill, Colton Cowser platoon in right field. Because that's the thing. Like, even though Beavers was hitting well, he had like a 145 WRC plus over his past 15 games. He was heating up. Really bad time for him to go on the IL with this oblique issue. They were kind of playing Beavers and even playing O'Neill. He started all 3 games in this Yankee series. Some of it was because Beavers was down and they faced 2 lefties. But Colton Cowser really hasn't played a whole lot. It's because he struggled so mightily offensively early in the year. But we still know how good he is defensively at all 3 outfield positions. So if you want to platoon Cowser and O'Neill, maybe play O'Neill against a few righties, but maybe just kind of split the playing time between the two. You get the defense from Cowser. You theoretically get the offense from O'Neill, although we haven't seen it. And you definitely, with Taveras, Ward, and Cowser out there, I think that's a pretty good outfield defense. And the O's haven't had a whole lot of that this year because they haven't played as much Cowser because he's just been so bad with the bat this season. That is my guess of what we would mostly see in the outfield with O'Neill out there when the O's face some lefties. The good news was, Craig Albernaz after Wednesday's game was asked about Beavers. He said the strain is a low-grade strain, which means it's not super severe. He even already liked the way that Beavers was moving around when he was kind of testing it out and stretching it out on Wednesday before they put him on the injured list. So I don't think the Orioles think, it's going to be a couple of weeks, but I don't think they think it's going to be a super long extended IL stint for Beavers. And maybe by, even before the calendar flips to June, they hope they could have him back. The only issue is these oblique injuries in your midsection, in your side, these things are fickle. All the movements you do, hitting, playing the field as a baseball player, you need your obliques to be intact. And if there's pain down there, it is really tough to be a productive hitter. You just got to be careful with these things. So I'd expect it to take longer than you maybe initially think, but it's good that it is some sort of low-grade strain. It's just going to take some rest here before Beavers is back. So we'll probably see some more Colton Cowser in the lineup, and hopefully that means he can start to figure out how to hit the ball at least a little bit here. But another outfielder who was not hitting the ball, who was walking, but he wasn't hitting the ball, we got a little more clarity about the kind of approach changes we've seen from Taylor Ward this year. That's how we'll finish off this show. But first, this episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's right, turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. FanDuel is great during the playoffs because everything you need is right there in one place. You can check the stats, the trends, the matchups, the scores. It makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. And for me, I know they won last year, and sometimes it's not fun to see a team repeat, but the Thunder have played 8 playoff games, and they've won all 8 of them. They look even more dominant than they did last season. I don't see anybody stopping Oklahoma City this year. That's my future pick. I've got, if I'm going on FanDuel, is even though they're not got the best odds, I just think it's so likely they win the NBA title this year. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel. Play your game. So we finish off today's episode with some Taylor Ward talk. Good story, good reporting from Matt Wyrick in the Baltimore Sun on Wednesday, talking about Taylor Ward and kind of revealing for the first time we did not know about that Ward has been dealing with an injury. Matt Wyrick reporting that after Ward was hit on the left hand on April 13th by a 97-mile-per-hour Jonathan Loizaga fastball in the middle of that O's awesome Monday night comeback game against the D-backs, Wyrick reported that Ward was dealing with a bone bruise on his left hand stemming from that hit by pitch. Now, Ward stayed in that game. I think he played immediately the next day. He hasn't gotten many days off, but it has been bothering him. Entering that Monday game against Arizona, Ward was slashing 356, 443, 525. He had a 14% walk rate, which was great, 20% strikeout rate, and he had a 174 WRC plus with a league high 10 doubles. Since then, up until Tuesday's game, his slash line had gone down, hitting just 202. The on-base percentage still great at 413, but the slugging just 281. He wasn't really hitting doubles anymore. He was walking a lot more, up to 26%. He was striking out less at 17%. He was still a productive hitter. It was still a 118 WRC plus. He was still well above league average. He was getting even more walks. He just wasn't hitting for power and hitting all those doubles. Remember, he went on that crazy double streak early in the season. Those just kind of went away for a while, and he was swinging even less. And it seemed like when he was making contact, any of the power in his swing, even though he hit 36 homers last year for the Angels. He's got one right now. He's not going to hit 36 again. But even early in the year, before he got hit on the hand, his approach was different, but he was still slugging doubles when he got the chance. Since he got hit on the hand, he has not been slugging those doubles. And now we kind of have a reason why. He's been chasing less. He's been swinging even less since he got hit on that hand. So to still be productive without having the power to drive the ball has been pretty incredible with the patience that Ward has shown at the plate. Now, Matt Weirich's report also said that Ward had been wearing like one of those big pads on his left hand since getting hit, but on Tuesday night for the first time, he switched to a thinner pad. Maybe that means the pain is finally subsided. He responded with 2 hits, including his first double since April 22nd in Tuesday night's loss. And Ward came back out there on Wednesday, had a hit and a walk. And if he had a pad on, it was also very thin because it just looked like regular batting gloves that Ward was wearing on both of his hands for the first time in a while on Wednesday. So maybe that means the pain is gone, and maybe that means the power is going to start to come back. Again, we're not going to see Ward get close to 30 homers. It's May 14th, and he's got 1. But if we can see him start to ramp up the doubles again, he's still first in the American League with 14 doubles, even slacking off from them for about a month now. I'm okay if he drops some of the walks, right? Maybe that 26% goes back around that 15% if he brings back the extra base hits, the doubles with the occasional homer. Because at the end of the day, yeah, walking more has been great, but a 174 WRC plus with all the doubles is different than a 118 WRC plus with the doubles gone, but the walks being a lot more. Getting on second base is still better than getting on first base. If Ward can do both, he's going to be a special hitter for the final 4 months of this season. And if that hand was bothering him, and it no longer is, that is going to be a big, big thing for him and for this Orioles lineup looking for a little more thump. Waiting on guys like Gunnar Henderson to get it going. Ward has stayed productive. Maybe the production will kind of click back up now that he can hit again, and his left hand is hopefully feeling a whole lot better. That'll do it for today's episode. Orioles have finally made it to an off day. 16 games in 16 days, tied for the longest stretch without a scheduled off day of the season. Just ended with that win on Wednesday. It wasn't the greatest of baseball that they played through that stretch, but they at least kept themselves treading water. They come out of it with a series win over the Yankees, 20-24, because the American League stinks. They're still right in there in the AL wildcard race. Now they get to enjoy an off day on Thursday, but I'm not having an off day of the podcast. We are still coming back to you tomorrow. So if you are enjoying the pod, maybe you check out the Everydayer Club, where you can get ad-free episodes of the Locked On Orioles podcast. You can also get exclusive members-only access to our Locked On Orioles Discord channel. We're always talking O's, talking ball in there. It's been a fun time over the past week or so in the Discord. And you get many more perks as well from the Everydayer Club. You can sign up at the link lockedonorioles.supercast.com, or you can check out the link in the show notes as well. Other ways to support the show: like, comment, and subscribe to the Locked On Orioles YouTube channel. You can leave a 5-star rating and a review, and follow and subscribe to the show to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want to reach out, you've got questions, you want to talk some ball, whatever it may be, you can always email me, lockedonorioles@gmail.com. And speaking of that email, that's where I will be soliciting mailbag questions. That's coming up on tomorrow's episode with the off day on Thursday, doing a mailbag episode. And remember, if you join the Everydayer Club, you guarantee that your mailbag question will be answered if you ask it in the Everydayer Club Discord channel. But if you're not in there, that's okay. Email me, lockedonorioles@gmail.com. I'll try to answer some mailbag questions tomorrow and get you ready for Orioles and Nats over the weekend. But until then, I'm Connor Newcomb, and this has been the Locked On Orioles podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, Your team every day.